Elite Facts presents
10 celebrities who were connected and targeted by crime syndicates.
10.
Sammy Davis Jr. During the 1950s, Sammy Davis Jr. became a good friend with Kim Novak, who was well known for her role in the Hitchcock film Vertigo. It's all well and good to make friends in the industry, but Novak was not the woman you would want as a friend. Not because she was a bad person or anything, but she was connected. The first issue was that they were an interracial couple in the 1950s, which wasn't real popular at all back in those days. And the second thing was that Novak was contracted to Harry Cohn, a ruthless manager who was connected to the mafia. Davis and Novak were rumored to be set to marry, and Cohn worried that the controversy surrounding the marriage would damage her reputation. Infamous gangster Mickey Cohen warned Davis's father that Cohn had ordered infamous gangster John Roselli to seriously hurt Sammy. This would involve a horrific beating, breaking both his legs and then gouging out his one good eye with a stick. Sammy was told that his only option was to break off all ties with Novak and marry a random black woman to kill off any rumors. After he did this, he was given a call to let him know that the contract on his life was lifted by the mob.
9.
Steven Seagal. During an investigation of the Gambino crime family in 2001, the FBI heard tapes of the gangsters making fun of Steven Seagal for not living up to his tough guy personality that he portrayed in his films. The FBI contacted Seagal in regards to the tapes, and he admitted to being linked to the mafia. He was compelled to tell the FBI and an entire courtroom about what had happened after the FBI threatened him with jail if he didn't. Seagal explained that the year before, he was planning to stop creating violent action films. However, he was being extorted by the mafia to pay out a lump sum of $150,000 per film that he released.
8.
Jimi Hendrix. In 1969, Jimi Hendrix disappeared while staying in the Seattle area. According to a cocaine smuggler by the name of John Roberts, who at one point worked for the Medellin cartel and was close friends with Hendrix himself, Jimmy was taken hostage by the mafia who operated in that area after he walked into their compound asking if they sold drugs. Two low-ranking officers in the mob recognized him and realized they would probably make some cash off of the famous musician. So they offered Jimmy free drugs to convince him to come with them, and they kept him at an unknown location for 2 full days. They kept Jimmy so high that he probably didn't even know what was going on until after the event was over. After a phone call by their boss, Hendrix was released without having to pay a dime. Hendrix himself had a few ideas as to why he was taken hostage, and he believed that his manager was behind the whole thing.
7.
Jackie Chan. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the cinema in China was, for the most part, extorted by the Chinese triads, who were infiltrating every aspect of movie making. They would force their way onto a film set and threaten to break equipment unless money was handed out. Only one actor had the guts to stand up to the triads, and that actor was Jackie Chan. Unfortunately for him, because of his courageous act, the triads started extorting him, and they did so for a large portion of his career. This was one of the main reasons Jackie Chan left China and came to America. But when he got off the plane, bullets were fired at him. When he returned to China, he started carrying guns and grenades with him. It's not hard to see why when he says things like, quote, "I was at dinner once when more than 20 people with watermelon machetes surrounded me. I had 3 guns with me and told them that they had gone too far." We have no idea what happened after this, but considering Jackie Chan is alive and well today, you can imagine that it probably didn't end well for those triads.
6.
Edward James Olmos. In the year 1992, the film American Me starring Edward James Olmos was released, and it was a box office flop. The film itself was based on the life of the boss of the Mexican Mafia, Cheyenne Cadena, who was played by Edward James Olmos. Although the film was a flop at the box office, it gained decent reviews from critics. The Mexican Mafia, however, didn't take kindly to it, as they were against a scene in which Olmos' character was raped in prison. The Mexican Mafia made plans to whack Olmos. However, it's believed that Olmos paid off the mob in order to protect his life.
5.
The Rolling Stones. In 1969, the Rolling Stones played a concert in Altamont Speedway in Northern California, where they hired the Hells Angels as security for $500 and a case of beer. During the concert, an 18-year-old by the name of Meredith Hunter approached the stage with a gun, which quickly caught the attention of the Hells Angels security. They attacked Hunter and beat him to a bloody pulp before stabbing him to death. Mick Jagger and the rest of the band decided to ban the Angels from any more of their concerts and refused to hire them again. Unfortunately, the Angels didn't take too kindly to their comments and were so angry with this that they formed a plan to murder the whole band. Their plan was to stock a ton of weapons on a boat and open fire on Jagger's mansion from the open waters. Luckily for Jagger, a storm hit and capsized the boat. After that, the Angels decided to just forget about the whole incident. 4. Al Sharpton. In the 1980s, Al Sharpton was a major figure in the boycott of the Jacksons tour, as he and a group of people attempted to extort money from the band. During the boycott, he received a call from someone threatening to kill him if he didn't stop the boycott. Immediately following this, Sharpton went to the FBI to help him find the person he received the call from, along with a number of other members of the crime syndicate. Some documents report Sharpton was forced into becoming an informer to keep away from prosecution after he was caught in a drug deal.
3.
Gordon Ramsay. So as it turns out, shark fishing is illegal in most countries. In 2011, Gordon Ramsay was making a documentary on this illegal practice, and in the process he discovered that criminal gangs were involved in the operation. As he and the crew were about to leave Costa Rica, they were surrounded by mobsters who wouldn't let them continue on to the airport. These mobsters stood Ramsay and the crew against a wall at gunpoint and were ready to open fire. However, the police arrived at the last second to apprehend the mobsters before telling Ramsay and his crew to leave the country.
2.
Woody Harrelson. We all know who Woody Harrelson is. Had a fantastic role in the film Zombieland, had a recurring role in the Hunger Games franchise, and got his start in the now legendary TV series Cheers. Well, here's something you probably didn't know. Woody Harrelson's dad, Charles Harrelson, was a hitman who killed several people on behalf of the mob. The most infamous contract Charles was given was the assassination of federal judge John H. Wood. After getting charged with the assassination, Charles was given 2 life sentences for his troubles.
1.
The Beatles and the Kinks extorted by the Krays. During the 1960s, the infamous Kray twins decided that they wanted to get into the music industry legitimately as managers, and decided to find an already established rock band to start their managing careers. Of course, they decided to choose what would be the biggest rock pop group on the planet, the Beatles. Ronnie Kray met the Beatles' manager at the time, Brian Epstein, in order to discuss their taking over the band's management. However, Ronnie was told that managing a band like the Beatles required expert knowledge. Of course, after hearing that, Ronnie got upset and rammed a nail into the cheek of a random person who just happened to be passing by. This was only to show that he was serious. Afterwards, the Krays understood that managing the Beatles was indeed a difficult task, so instead they reverted back to their criminal ways and just extorted huge money from Epstein. After this, they unsuccessfully tried to take over the Kinks, who were also incredibly popular, but were nowhere near the level of the Beatles.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.